What is going on, everybody? Jonathan Sports here. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 players I think could break out this season. My first player I think could break out this season is Shepard. His first 3 years, he played exclusively in the slot, which is where I think, obviously, most people think he should be. And, his rookie season had 8 touchdowns, but it was never backed up with any receptions, in the yards. He had the targets a couple of years where he played all 16 games. But I don't know. There was never a connection between Eli and Shep. And, Sterling Shepard had a career high in receptions last season, believe it or not. And he only played 12 games. He also had a career high in catch percentage, which is like 73%, well above any of his other seasons, which were down in the low 60s. So Jones and Shepard definitely have had a connection. And with Galladay coming to town, I expect Shepard to see, a lot more one-on-ones, especially in the red zone. I expect career highs and targets, well over 100 targets, and I expect high receptions next season. And, obviously, if Shep, I should say, Steph, what the hell? If Shep can stay healthy, which has kind of been problems with concussions, and a few little injuries here and there, but, I wouldn't be surprised to see, all career highs, and the touchdowns as well. I'd like to see him get over that 8 mark that he got this rookie year. With the Galladay signing, and it was a massive contract, that kind of, the spotlight will be on Shep to produce, or he could easily be a cap casualty next year. So, again, if he can stay healthy, I think Shep is set up to have a career year, being able to stay in the slot full time, and everyone, coming into the second season of Jason Garrett's offense. So it's a go big or go free agency next season. I'm going to bet on Sterling Shepard. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good slot receiver, and I'm gonna say he goes big. No free agency. So my second player that I think could break out next season is Darnell Holmes. He had a rough start to the season. As the season, went on, he got better and better and better. So he only ended up playing in 41% of the snaps, but he didn't allow a single touchdown all year long. And he made a few nice breakouts in the end zone. He had an 87.2 passer rating allowed when he was targeted. Now that may sound high, but I'm telling you, it's like borderline elite, like in the slot. Let's put it in comparison to Logan Ryan. He had a 99 passer rating allowed his last season in the slot of Tennessee. So I expect similar numbers from Darnell this season, but I expect tons of big plays, because with Bradbury and Jackson on the outside, teams are going to be looking to attack the middle of the field a lot more. So second year in the NFL, second year in Patrick Graham's defense, I expect Darnell Holmes to get twice the reps, and I expect him to make all kinds of plays for us next year to break out in 2021. So my third player I expect to break out next season is Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas had about as rough of a first season as you're going to find in the NFL. He held his own in the first week. We were all in shock. Like, man, we got our guy. Week 1, Steelers, he balls out, and then just nosedived the next 7-8 games, where he easily allowed the most pressures and sacks in the NFL. On Twitter, a lot of Giants fans just going crazy, lost their minds. And of course, the name Eric Flowers was beginning to be tossed around. But to Thomas's credit, he never gave up. Kept fighting, and he pulled a 180 down the stretch. He even had like a 3-game stretch to where he didn't allow a single pressure. So Coach Joe Judge started spending extra time in the line room, and we saw instant changes. Thomas started taking more effort to protect his inside and managed to finish the season on strong. There was one really bad game at Arizona, like towards the end of the year. But the whole line was putrid that week. The Giants never changed their protection calls from what I saw in a Marcus Golden interview. Marcus Golden had tipped the Cardinals off, to all their calls. But Thomas finished the season strong, and I believe he still finished the season with the most pressures by, any tackle, but it really was a lot better down the stretch. And I expect Thomas to start where he left off, last season, and become the franchise left tackle of the Giants. Let's be honest, that we've sorely needed the last decade. Since our last Super Bowl, it's been a problem. And I think he'll be the best lineman on the team. There's a hot take for you. My next player to break out next year is Dexter Lawrence. Last season, Dexter almost doubled up every defensive stat there is, and he did it on 3% less snaps. So he went from 2.5 sacks in 2019 to 4 sacks last year. He about doubled up his tackle amounts. The most impressive number is he had a 3.6% missed tackle rate last season, in comparison to 11.6% in 2019. 3.6% missed tackle rate is obscene. To put it to comparison, Dalvin Tomlinson is known to be a top 5 to 10 run stopping tackles. Dalvin had a 12% missed tackle rate last season with the Giants. Dexter Lawrence is already an elite run stopping tackle of the highest order. I think next season we will see his numbers explode. The last 2 seasons, he's played 63% of snaps in 2019, 60% of snaps in 2020. I expect Dexter to play at around that 75% to 80% of the snaps next season, and I expect his sack totals to double. Yes, double again. I'm calling it now. Dex will have at least 8 sacks and will become a top 10 interior defensive lineman in the NFL. And on a side note, he's also my favorite player on the team. So I did have some honorable mentions. I thought about Daniel Jones. I think he'll obviously have a better year this year and continue along the path of proving I think he'll get at least one more year to see if he can be the guy. Another honorable mention I thought of was Matt Pear. I think he'll win out the right tackle job and prove to be a quality right tackle. I thought about Darius Slayton. I thought about B.J. Hill, because B.J. Hill is obviously going to get, his numbers up with Dalvin being gone. And I also thought about Tay Crowder, but I'm not sure. They might bring in a starting middle linebacker in this draft. I wouldn't doubt it. I think they're looking for an upgrade there. But I have trust in Tay Crowder. I think he can handle the job. If he's next to Blake Martinez starting next season, I trust him. That's it for me, my 5 players that I think break out in 2021 season. I just figured I'd make a video for the hell of it. It's fun. There's not a whole lot of news. Free agencies are wrapping up. And I have my mock draft about ready. I should have that out tomorrow. Possibly even in a few hours. I'm just finishing up my scouting. And that's it. Thanks, guys. Oh, like and subscribe, obviously. Peace.